try to be a clear speaker of English. So far, so good. Returning students, so far, so good. OK. 先用中文讲一下，等一下会说的一些事情，然后英文听得比较容易。目的有3种。我们谈目的的时候，你要思考的其实是，例如说，如果课堂报告的话，比如说讲一下课堂报告的目的，那你不能只是想说我的目标是，就是因为它是一份作业，说你把它当成作业，你要去想说它的练习是什么。例如说，今天你在呈现，你要给的是 information 吗？你是要给资讯吗？你要分享资讯吗？还是你要证明说我有整合资料的能力？就是老师在考验的是什么？这个是很重要的一件事情。就是这个报告的目的是什么？或者这一份简报的目的是什么？它终究有一个比较大的目的。了解吗？例如说你要简报的时候，是你要说服长官同意某个计划，还是说你要说服客户投资等等？所以它是有一个比较高的目的。那再来才分细的，再来才去思考清楚我要如何达成这个高的目标。那当你确定这件事情之后，里面的细节才会正确。否则，你们听过，你们应该有听过这种简报，就讲一大堆洋洋洒洒的，没有什么用的。你要切回目的。所以，例如说，今天我们在讲简报的时候，我希望大家知道，就是可以带走一些真实可以使用的一些观念跟想法。有一些详细的那些东西呢，都是微调，过程那些都是可以的。那上次呢，上次的这个回应里面呢，也有同学，就是好几个同学写出问说，英文简报能力呢，当然除了这种后设层次比较高层次的之外，平常的英文的口语训练可以怎么做？对，同学关心这件事情，关心平常英文的口语练习。大家有没有谁就是我需要练习英文口语？举手。我想要知道英文平常的口说怎么训练。OK， 那我会给的建议是很类似的，你要先问自己说你要跟谁讲英文了。对，这是很基本的一件事情。Ask yourself， 你要跟谁讲？因为一样的道理，英文口语能力就跟英文写作一样，它不是单一能力，它不是分成好或不好而已，它有一些基本的没有错。可是你要去想你的口语用在哪里，这是很重要的一件事。你希望做什么？很多时候不太好讲。有些时候同学会告诉我说：“我想跟外国人讲话，为什么？你要讲什么？对不对？坏，你希望用英文做什么事情？这是很重要的。OK， 好，等一下我用英文再说一次，讲点直播的，也是 rolling， 好，看没有？讲点直播的同学很好。OK，那我们继续讲，可以吗？讲中文预告讲完了，中文预告。All right, are we rolling? Yes, okay. So, purpose. Oh, sometimes. Okay, purpose. So, before we talk more about the details, is that mine? Is that mine? Oh, wow, it just appeared. Okay. Thank you. So, when we talk about English presentation skills, we're talking about what we call meta skills today, bigger skills, thinking about presentation in general. But last week, I received some feedback. Students asking me, I just want to practice my English speaking, my English oral ability. Okay? Who is like this? Who needs this? I need to practice my English speaking. Raise your hand. Yeah, just my English speaking skills in general. Okay, let me give you all some advice. Okay, in this course, some of you may have been hoping to get some specific sentences you can use in English presentations, right? There are some specific language that you can use. Hello, hi, my name is Andrew. Good morning, thank you for coming, goodbye. Any questions, any comments, right? Simple things and transitions. These can be listed in a handout and then distributed. That's boring stuff. Okay? But basically, remember this. Presentation language is all about it's all about making sure your audience follows you. And so you need to use transitions, okay, first, second, third. Use your PowerPoint slides, your whatever visual media you have, to keep your audience, on the trail, like on the path that you want. And above everything else, it's about being clear. Okay, it's about being clear. And so the point is, if you want to know what language to use, you have to follow the conventions of English writing. Okay, so in English writing, we have first, and then you have a paragraph. Second, and then you have a paragraph, right? Transition. Okay, by contrast, however, right? Transitions. And these are some of the basic things. In terms of language, but more generally, to practice English speaking, you first need a purpose. You need a purpose first. Why do you want to practice your English speaking? What do you want to use it for? That is an important question to ask, right? What do you want to use your English to accomplish? 想要用英文做什么？大家都说英文很重要，为什么？因为要跟国际接轨，那有讲跟没讲一样嘛，对不对？你想要做什么？每个人不一样，真的。Everyone has different goals and different aspirations and different needs. Okay. In general, this is what I would suggest. Make sure you know your end goal first, your purpose first, and then reverse engineer. What are the steps I need to take to get there? General advice for practicing English speaking: record yourself. Practice on pronunciation. 产出是一个非常辛苦的过程，练习简报是最高层次的。产出的过程非常辛苦，你要控制的东西非常多，你要控制发音，对不对？从最基本的，从语音开始，你要控制语音的正确，语音正确就已经很困难了，对不对？发音要对，语调要对，抑扬要对，对不对？这个已经很困难了。You need to control the correct use of words, right? 你需要选字。How do you choose the right words? 字汇量要够。你要控制句法，对不对？你要控制文法，然后你还要控制句子跟句子之间的脉络。It's a lot to handle. You see, it's not very easy, and that's why you have to think about it on different levels in terms of English speaking. So when you are practicing, focus on a specific task. Am I focusing on pronunciation? Am I focusing on the words, the content? Am I focusing on the grammar, making sure that I have correct grammar throughout? So record yourself. Okay, that's the easy way. 现在很方便嘛，对不对？ And then replay or find someone to correct you. Normally when we practice conversation, a big problem is we only correct a certain thing. You either correct your grammar, or you correct pronunciation, or you listen for the content. 对话是两个人一起塑造出来的，所以通常就是看对方想要抓什么问题。如果你在练习的话，老师看他抓什么问题。So you have to be your own critic. Okay? General advice. I'll give more general advice in time to go. In future times. Times to come. Purpose, when it comes to the highest level of English presentation, refers to three things. First, it refers to the purpose, in general, biggest purpose. So in a school setting, for most of you here, a presentation means an assignment, 它是一份作业，对，它是一个课堂的活动，对不对？那换句话说，为什么要有这个课堂活动 ？It's okay, 因为为什么有这样的课堂活动？为什么要做报告？对不对？有没有想过这件事？为什么要口头报告这件事情 ？Why？ 大家有没有想过 ？Anyway, 3 reasons. 3个就好。3 reasons. Yes.
Because it's usually teacher talking on stage.
Yes.
He doesn't know if you really get it.
Yes. Very good. So, 老师不想讲课嘛，对不对？So teachers assign presentations， 学生坐在下面听嘛，对不对 ？Right? Okay, I'm just kidding. 不好笑吗？我觉得蛮好笑的。That's very good. So it's a chance for students to show what they have learned. Okay, that is the big thing, big purpose. 第一个最高层次就是这个事情存在的目的是什么 ？Okay, biggest purpose. And then you have second level. Therefore, what is your purpose? 你不是说我要满足作业嘛，对不对？除了这个之外，这层次是这样的话，那这份作业的目的是什么？我要展现我所学到的，这是比较大的。比较小的是，我要整合资讯给同学吗 ？Am I synthesizing and integrating information to present to the students, to my classmates, and to the teacher? Is that the goal? Sometimes it is, right? 我们报过 paper， 对不对 ？paper 读完，把细节报给同学听，报给老师听 ，right? And you are presenting information. That is the purpose, but not always. Sometimes the purpose is to ask a question. Maybe you have to lead a discussion, right? Maybe that is the purpose, to show your preparedness and lead a discussion. Maybe it's that. Maybe it's the purpose of the activity is to perform, right? Maybe the purpose is to entertain, right? Have you had these before? No, to educate but also entertain your classmates. 有没有做过这种报告？就是要有一点娱乐性质的 different kinds of purpose. And so think about this. Big meta purpose, general purposes specifically, and then of course, how do we get there? If you are clear on those things, at least it has to be clear to you. Then you can start your preparation. First is purpose. Second, we talked about this. Who is your audience? Who is your audience? It's a little difficult for me, okay, to be very honest. I have to think about my audience here, the members currently present. But I also need to think about you, my good audience, who are watching now online or in the future, right? So think about this. Who is your audience? Right? And that will change. I think there are some problems here that we need to think about. You have to have, someone in mind. Now, in writing, when we teach writing, we teach the students to have an ideal reader. Have one ideal reader in mind. And then model your talk on this imaginary reader. Not everyone will fit your ideal reader, okay? And certainly not everyone all the time. 话说出去，每个人的状态不一样。So you need to have one ideal person in mind. 如果是课堂报告 your ideal person should be someone like your instructor, right? You have to tailor it to match what the instructor is looking for. And that causes some different choices, right? You will have some different choices. But this is my suggestion to you. Have an ideal reader, okay? An ideal listener, an ideal audience member. Think about it, okay, first. Okay, and then model everything with this ideal reader. 他需不需要知道这个讯息？他如果不需要，就不要讲。我这样讲就好不好笑？对不对？我自己觉得很好笑，对不对？学生不笑，对。But 在我心里面的 ideal listener, the ideal audience finds this funny. Okay? So have an ideal person in mind. 在写作的时候，这个也很重要。写 email 为什么比较容易？我觉得因为你确定就是你的读者是谁。可是，在简报啊，或者是在写长篇的文章的时候，你不能想说哦，我的这个我的读者就是老师。我的读者就是这个阅卷委员，阅卷的老师。你要想的是 what kind of person would want to read this and would benefit? Okay, audience. We talked about duration, right? How long should it be? If anyone asks you to present, that's the first thing you ask. How long is it? Right? 会让人写一篇英文作文， 最重要的是什么？几个字啊，对不对？啊，50个字、100个字、2000个字 ，it's completely different. Okay, the purpose functions, the purposes and functions change because of the duration. Let me give you all some advice, particularly in English, but also in Chinese. 长度呢，会界定你可以讲多少，对不对？然后通常人的倾向是会高估你可以说多少，在有限的时间之内。研究显示会高估多少呢？会高估1/3到1/2，30%到50%。也就是说，你认为你可以讲的100%，你要砍掉1/3到1半，现场讲出去才听得懂。为什么 ？You have to give assumptions. You need to give time for the audience to think. So your ideal reader shouldn't be you. You can't think, oh, I'm just telling myself. That's not helpful, right? That's not helpful. You need to cut away things. I have to do it all the time. 而且很多老师不做这件事情，老师就这种赶课的方法。我们有遇过这种老师，管你听得懂听不懂我就讲，讲完就考。为什么？因为很重要，对不对 ？That's useless. 这样以讲课来说一点意义都没有，对不对？倒不如就看书嘛，有多少学生就关掉就看书嘛，对不对？为什么会这样 ？It's a problem with duration. Within the amount of time you have, don't overestimate. And there's a tendency to overestimate. Cut 30 to 50%. Same in writing. 你觉得1000个字可以表达的，你要想，就是内容大概只有700字，你要有一些弹性。Okay, 写作比较不会有这样的问题，可是还是要看一些。Okay, very important. Remember, problem with duration. Problem with duration. And it affects the last thing, which is scope. Purpose, audience, duration, scope. Scope means how deep do you want to go? How broadly do you want to go? Okay, 多深多广. My best advice for scope is to cut your presentation. Cut your presentation into 10 parts. Okay, 10 parts. Your introduction should be 1 part. Okay, and then your conclusion should be 1 part. That leaves 8 parts, right? 8 parts, right? Okay, 8 parts. Within the 8 parts, at most 4. 4 big things to cover. Sometimes 2. Okay? Sometimes 2. And that's it. Big things. At most cover 4. Best 3, at least 2. Within the time frame. That's your scope. Okay? You can go deep, you can go broad, doesn't matter. But cover at most 4 things. 3 is okay. 3 is best. 2, okay, is acceptable. Okay, Mom? That is my suggestion for scope. If you need a little more time for introduction, you can also cut it in 3. 3, 3, 4 is also okay. 4, 3, 3, 5. But remember, don't cut it into too many pieces. Okay? 不然会碎片化，会碎掉。All right? Okay, good. 有没有听过那种讲课的老师的？每一张 PPT 70张，每一张内容都不一样。有没有看过这种 PPT？ 我看过很多哈。Anyway， 都没有吗？都没有。Okay, fine. All right. So I've covered the important things. 以上 I finished my second part. All right. Writing and the considerations of writing. Next, we'll talk about the process. Okay, that applies to writing, but also applies to giving presentations. Remember, we talked about these big assumptions. Now everything is in place. You already know what the audience is, who the audience members will be, who your ideal reader is. You already know the purposes. You already know the duration. You already know the scope. It's all set. Okay? 都知道了。 都完成之后才会往下走，在这个定之前，通通不算，通通不行。Okay? In general, right? Okay. Here is the process. It involves a few steps, and it was same for writing. Okay, 这个是我们教写作业的过程，那一样，教简报是一模一样的过程。The first step, anyone? 学过英文作文 ？What's the first step? No, that's not the first step. No, the writing process, not the process doesn't mean 就是写的过程，不是指这个文章的脉络，指的是创作的过程，写出来的过程。What is the first step? We always teach this. I love it. This is a word I love. I love this word.
Topic?
Who loves the word topic? I love the word topic. Brainstorm. I love this word. Brainstorm. That's what you do. And what is a storm like? 脑力激荡. What does it mean to brainstorm? What is a storm like? 有没有经历过暴风雨？有没有？在台湾应该有经历过吧？对吧？好 ，brainstorm. What does this mean? This is the first step when you're creating a presentation, when you're creating a writing. It doesn't need to be logical. This is where you throw ideas on the paper. 我跟学生形容是 ，This is where you vomit on the paper. Just spill everything out. 随便写，随便想，随便做连接，写。有些人喜欢手写，有些人打字，不管。有些人用图像思考，有些人是用文字，那都不是重点。重点就是把所有跟你的这个你定好的这个题目全部写出来，全部吐出来。Everything should come out. 不需要逻辑，可以吗 ？Keywords are fine. Phrases are okay. Sentences are okay, but not necessary. Spill everything out on the paper or on the screen. Nobody will see it, right? 没有人会看啊。Do it first. 把所有的想法全部吐出来。为什么这个是关键呢？因为一样，我刚刚讲的，当你在产出的时候，你要控制的东西很多，你得控制发音，对不对？你得控制选字，你得控制文法，你得控制逻辑，对不对？你还得控制最难的这个 idea. That's very difficult. So spill the ideas out first. In English, it doesn't matter. Spill it out in Chinese. Let your ideas flow first. Give yourself a set amount of time. For 30 minutes, I will brainstorm. Brainstorm by yourself or with someone else. Ask people, what should I do? Okay, what I did for this particular course, I brainstormed with my superior, the Wu 主任, If you're watching this, yeah, okay, anyway. I brainstormed with her first. I asked her. And then put all the ideas on paper. Who does this? It's a fun thing to do. 把所有就画一个中间画一个你的 topic， 随便写，任何想法都可以。请原谅我哈，我是心理学背景。人在创意的时候使用的这个大脑急转机制，跟逻辑是不太一样的。做连结的时候呢，你需要的一些心智历程，跟你在正式在写、在做 PPT 的时候是不一样的。这两个 I can't quit， 比较方便，这两个要分开，Separate the process. Okay, start by brainstorming. That is the best advice I can give to begin. I'll tell you my process. Okay, I prefer pen and paper. This is I tried computer. It doesn't work so well for me. I prefer pencil and paper for some reason. Okay, and writing. And I normally, if the longer the talk, the more time you need. But it takes me normally about 30 minutes. 30 minutes to pour everything out. Okay? All kinds of ideas. And think about it in this way. Think about keywords. Think about key phrases. Think about multimedia. Think about people. Think about places. Okay? Think about different opposing ideas, make all kinds of connections, basically make a mess, and then cluster. To cluster, anyone? Okay. Put the ideas together. 分门别类. Okay, it's very convenient nowadays. I'll demonstrate if we have time sometime. You can cluster your ideas, and then you can get rid of some things. Okay, some ideas will be terrible when you see them on paper. 有没有看过《哈利波特》小说、电影都没有？看过这个？啊 ，Okay, that's many people. Okay, there is a device. There is a magical object in the Harry Potter series. It's called a pensieve in English. 中文好像翻成除丝盆。就你可以把你的记忆呢拉出来，放到除丝盆里面，然后你就可以去整理。Okay, and 大家都知道这个哈利的这个校长邓布利多。What does he say? He says, "It's easier to see connections and patterns this way." Okay, it's easier to see connections and patterns this way. That's the best advice I can give. That is the first step. It's a very fun process. Okay, that's the fun stuff. How are we doing on time? Should we take a break? 2 more minutes. Okay. What's the next step? Drink some coffee. That's the second step. Once you're brainstorming, drink some coffee. And then? Take a nap. Excellent. And then? Anyone? 就不做我觉得 brainstorm, cluster. Categorize, yes. 总而言之就是 outline, 写大纲 outline. 先不要尝试所有的 PPT 都做，先写大纲 write an outline first. 大结构要先对，小结构才能对。Okay, 先写大结构 outline your talk first. How do you do this? How do we outline? In English, we have modes, right? I told you we have some rhetorical modes. But in general, I will say this. 通常老师会提供大纲，好的报告老师会告诉你什么东西一定要说，什么样的做法是他们希望，不然就是他有他非常的天然的一个历程。比如说你在报 paper 的话，一定是从摘要嘛，一路讲到最后面的讨论，对不对？如果你在讲的是某一个案例的话，一定要先给背景，事情可能冲突，像在讲故事一样，讲到最后的结论，还有后面的。There are some inherent things. There are some logical procedures to follow, and 应该是内涵在你的题目里面，你就会知道的。Make sure you follow that logic. Make sure you follow that logic. Outlining takes some time. And it's not set in stone. This is something to remember. When you outline, you can always go back to change it. 有些学生在写的时候，他们写 outline 是最后才写。因为我们在台湾学作文的时候呢，就是从第一段写到最后一段，对不对？第一段开头就我的家庭，我就开始写我的家庭真可爱，然后开始写我爸爸、我妈妈，句点换段，最后结论。通常是很简单。But in English, we do it differently, and I think that's better. You start with the outline, and then you follow it. It's like a map. It's like a map. You have an agenda, and then you follow it. And you can change it. That's okay. 对不对？有些学生会告诉我，可是老师我的思想是流动的，怎么办？改啊 ，right? Change your outline. That's okay. 知道？大家没有反应，听过这么多，很多小生，我不想要改我的大纲，我想了多久啊？有没有这种心理？有没有听过这种心理障碍？有没有这种心理障碍？我大纲我想了多久？我想了半天，现在又要改，我才不要呢！我已经写完了 ，No way！ 所以我要不断的强调 ，You have to change your outline. Okay, very important to remember. In general, let me repeat: introduction, conclusion, and in the process. You should mention 3, at most 4 big things. Cluster, okay, and make it a clear presentation. Okay, very good. Outline. we should take a break, right? But what's the next one? What's the next thing? Write it. Draft it. And I'll tell you the details of drafting when we come back.